Hey everyone, welcome to Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast. This podcast is all about farmers markets. Whether you're a farmers market manager or a small farmer, food maker, or artisan selling at farmers markets, you have found just the right podcast.
I'm Kat Fields-White.
And I'm Bridget Myers. We're longtime farmers market managers, educators, and consultants. Get ready to catch up on all things farmers market pros with us. This week on Tent Talk, we're talking all about sponsorship outreach and why you should be doing it now during budget cycles.
Today's episode of Tent Talk, the Farmers Market podcast, is supported by you. When our listeners subscribe to our offerings at farmersmarketforum.com or register for Intents, the National Farmers Market Conference, they not only gain access to valuable information and networking, they also support production of this podcast. We've produced 350 plus episodes of Tent Talk over the last 7 years, providing free content for farmers market managers and participants, and we couldn't have done it without you. Register now for the 10th annual 2026 Intents Conference at farmersmarketpros.com and sign up for regular updates at farmersmarketforum.com today. Previously reliable funding sources seem uncertain right now. So this week's Spotlight episode from 2022 features Kat, Bridget, and our former co-host Justine Marzoni-Mead offering reminders that this is the prime time of year to seek local support for your farmers market. Sponsorship budgets for the coming year are being finalized now. Listen in and make sure your market is in the mix.
Welcome back to Tent Talk. Time flies when you're having fun, and somehow we are already wrapping up the third quarter of 2022.
Where did that year go?
We're in a time, I think it's just like a time warp since 2020. It's just,
Ever since 2020.
we're in like time-space continuum, like no one knows what's
My youth.
That's is how I feel. How did I get all this gray hair? It's a perfect time to start chatting about what you should be doing now to make your 2023 better, which does always help me when it's like nearing the end of the year and I'm like, oh no, I didn't do all these things. But then, making plans for the next year is always very helpful. And today we're going to be talking about one of those very important things you can do for your market, and that is to make sponsorship outreach better and bigger and more effective.
And more timely.
And more
I mean,
timely.
that's why we're talking about this now.
Yes.
It's so much more effective if you do it now.
Do it early, because if you wait until January 1st, guess what? You're busy and everyone else is busy. And that's not the time to start your sponsorship plan for the new year.
And that money's already been allocated.
Exactly.
But we'll get to that.
We'll talk about that. So before we get started, we are going to be talking about budgeting today, but we're not going to get super deep into the nitty-gritty of budgeting because we have done a couple episodes on that recently.
Yep.
If you want to look back in time at the Tent Talk archive, number 56, which is a million years ago, this was an episode that Kat and Bridget did planning for 2020. I don't think any of those plans went into effect.
Wow.
Wow. I don't know.
That's not going to encourage anybody to budget.
It's a fun hypothetical situation.
Well, May has some good nuggets.
Yeah, there's some good
for
nuggets.
planning into
There are.
a non-pandemic year, which hopefully 2023 will be.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what
And
we're hoping.
then number 136, we talked to Kathy Newsome about balancing market budgets with fundraising programs. That was an awesome episode. Lots of really great ideas. And she did talk about some sponsorship stuff. So after you listen to this one, you can go back and check that one out. A couple more recent ones. Number 163, make a budget for your farmers market business and stick to it. We did that at the end of last year, which is kind of a more general budget, how to make a budget, what should go in your budget. We talk about kind of more fixed costs versus costs that can fluctuate from year to year. And then a very recent episode, number 202, with Sarah Delavan was all about profit first budgeting and kind of more of like just like looking at all of the items in your budget.
I feel like so many people got a lot out of Sarah Delavan's presentation at Intents.
Yes.
Every time I run into people all over the country, market managers that say, and remember what Sarah says, profit first.
And we should all keep that in mind as we're making plans right now at the end of the third quarter going into 2023 pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So just looking at time, you're probably, as a market manager, like counting the days left in your year, counting the days left in your season. The months are just flying by. And once we start hitting more of the heavy holiday season, it starts to just like zip through even more quickly. But let's just chat about some things that we should be doing like right now before the end of the year.
Yeah, so in general, what you're probably doing now is analyzing your current budget versus projections. You did do projections, right?
Right, everybody? Come on. 2020, end of 2021 wasn't too bad, right?
Right.
So we did those projections for 2022. So we should have been looking at those all throughout the year, of course. But now is a good time to sit down and analyze that and see, what you did, what you didn't do, marks that you hit, marks that you missed.
What
Make your
cost
plan.
more than you expected?
For sure.
What made you more than you expected, hopefully?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you made some really awesome market merch that just flew off the shelves and you sold all of that, or
Increase your vendor count, and that helped get your bottom line a little higher.
Or had some good sponsors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
So then while you're doing that, you should be making a budget for next year. You're projecting now for 2023. And part of that should be that you've got a sponsorship line in there projecting how much you're going to bring in from sponsor activations,
Yeah.
marketing partnerships. And so that leads you right into fulfilling those dreams by doing sponsor outreach.
And Kat, before we get too deep on like how to do sponsor outreach and some different ways to like connect with businesses in your areas, can you give us your pitch real quick about why your market should have sponsors, whether or not you're a nonprofit or a for-profit, and why no matter what market organization you have, why sponsors are a good thing to pursue?
Well, obviously, they can fund things that you might not be able to fund out of regular space fees. And they help you keep your space fees down. So if you want to keep your fees kind of low for farmers, it's helpful to have some other income streams. And sponsors can be a great thing for that. And then you don't have to be a nonprofit to get sponsors. I think that's the biggest misconception that we hear about all the time is that, oh, I can't get sponsors because I'm not a 501c3 yet. And whether or not you're a 501c3, that's not what brings in sponsors nowadays. So you're typically going to be talking to the marketing department of a big corporation at this point and not the philanthropy department. Even companies that have a lot of money to give, honestly, they're going to be more likely to be giving to disaster relief at this point or something that's, a real heart tugger. The reason, though, that a partnership for them or a sponsorship for them for a farmer's market is valuable is that you've got a demographic in the palm of your hand on your street in front of your tents that's a group of people that they want to reach. So there's a ton of companies out there that have things that they want to sell to the same type of folks that find value in the enhanced quality of things that they buy at farmers markets.
Yeah, because in a lot of ways, like the farmers market is already a pre-vetted, group of businesses that the people they're shopping, they already trust it. They're seeing the same like farmers and vendors week after week. And so when they interact with a business in the market, there's kind of already that implicit trust.
There is, and that's why you have to be careful who you partner with. But it's also what means that you can deliver really strong value to a sponsor because you're lending that trust that you've spent every week, year after year, building up. You're lending that level of trust at your customer level to that business just by the fact that you've accepted them into your market.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like a billboard or an ad in a newspaper or something. This is something where obviously a human had to say, oh, I don't know if you're a good fit or not. And then if you're there, they decided that you were. So it's, passing that trust along to your shoppers that are already there, trusting you to provide them with weekly groceries or a place to come out with their families and eat. It's like bringing that in with your sponsorship as well is such a good pitch for sponsors. And then also great for your shoppers too, that they can trust who's there, kind of selling them the extras.
So to keep that activated, to keep that whole mutual trust level activated, you have to be somewhat careful about who you allow to sponsor. So we're really proactive about vetting our sponsors. We have a ton of people that come to us actually asking to be sponsors at this point because we've got a very old market that's very large, that has a lot of shoppers. We go through a lot of vetting process to make sure that they kind of align with our mission, that they are providing a product that's of value. We had prospective sponsors last year, and we had a whole slew of them. It was a whole thing that was happening. People that wanted to come out and, quote unquote, provide free COVID testing. And what a lot of those organizations turned out to be was data miners. So what they were doing is taking people's information, theoretically giving them a test. That may have been real, may have not been real, I don't know. But the main reason they were there when you boiled down to it was they wanted to collect people's email addresses and information. And a lot of times they would give you health information and date of birth because it feels like a medical thing.
Oh my God, what a scam.
Oh, yeah, it was terrible. So apparently it turned out to be sort of a national thing because talking to other farmers market managers, I started hearing across the country that these people were coming to them. And luckily, we are really active at going out and kind of digging in. I do a lot of social media stalking. I look at websites and that kind of
That's
thing.
an expert stalker.
I am an expert stalker.
Don't ever cross her.
But, I kind of determined that this seemed to be what was going on before we ever had them come into the market. But I know that I'm sure that they managed to convince the market managers that this was a good idea because it sounded benevolent, but it wasn't really. So you need to make sure that trust, your customers' trust that you're offering up to these companies, make sure those companies deserve it.
Yeah. And if you're looking, for other places to find sponsors, look in your community. They are like all around you. There's businesses, no matter where you are, no matter what community you're in, that would love to have access to your awesome customers that are obviously put thought into what they're purchasing, that they're, probably willing to pay a little bit more for a higher quality service, and they're consistently shopping local.
Yeah, I think that sometimes at a bigger market, it's like, oh, you'll only have huge businesses sponsor here. And it's like, well, you need to look in your community and think about what is your mission of your market and what kind of businesses do you want to host as sponsors at your market. And that might be another like small community business, but they can have a sponsorship booth and promote their business.
Yeah, so we do both.
Yeah.
We have sponsors at some of our markets. We only have one sponsor per market day because we think that shoppers don't want to be bothered. We're creating a grocery store in the street, and when you go to the grocery store, there's not 16 people tapping you on the shoulder to try and sell you solar panels or various other things. So
Unless you go to Home Depot.
That's right. So we,
Sure, Costco.
Yeah, that's true. So we keep the same idea. So we have really hyper-local sponsors, condominium developers or people that are developing housing in your area, and the realtors that want to sell it to you, and we have mortgage brokers sometimes that'll set up a booth. We have the Food Allergy Institute here has been a sponsor of ours, the local soccer club, and was it something 45? Sorry, I should know my sponsors better.
Like
yes, F45.
Fitness group.
It's like a kettlebell,
Right.
beast mode gym.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So those kind of fitness folks, yoga studios, all those kind of people really find tapping our demographic good for them because we've got people that are coming out to us because they care about local activity and about the community and about healthy things like good food and yoga.
Yeah, it's a good synergy for us too because it's like, promoting health with food. And then, also these sponsors can provide something else for your health.
Yeah. Also, our large farmers market on Saturdays we get a lot of these big sponsors at. It is a big tourist attraction. So we've definitely had some sponsors that are a little bit more focused on tourism. Like we had Airbnb,
Southwest.
we had Southwest, and recently we had the Mexican consulate that was promoting a particular region. I think they're promoting
Oaxaca,
yeah. So kind of getting in that like travel type of people that are in town enjoying our market on their vacations.
Yeah, that's a good one for if you've got a big enough market that you've got a fairly good following on email and you've got a large group of attendees at your weekly market. Those large companies are really interested. We've hosted a lot of electric vehicle companies because again, same mindset. You're looking at things that are healthy for the environment and climate change, and electric vehicles buy into that. We had the MetLife after food truck. So it was set up to look like a food truck, but they were passing out dental floss and toothbrushes and that kind of thing. And
That was fun.
That was fun because they're a health insurance company.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was an interesting one. But step outside the box and think about it. There's a lot of folks that would be a good tie-in to your market.
Yeah.
And this is also a time, like an area where you can really pull in like your board of directors. If they have, connections or they know people, they probably know other business owners in the area, or, they might not always be super helpful in terms of operating the market or like the day-to-day stuff, but this could be something that they can be really great and just kind of evangelizing your market and pulling in sponsors.
Yeah, that's a perfect place to use your board of directors.
For sure. They have those connections.
So we consider a wide range of businesses appropriate sponsors, but there's some that we actually don't. And I know that this varies from manager to manager. I know a really successful manager that has a grocery store that's her main sponsor. To me, that's a little confusing because we want people to shop at the market, but I think her theory is it's a grocery store that's doing a really good job, that's selling some local farm produce. you got to shop somewhere the other 6 days of the week. So, why not emphasize at least the good guys that are doing that?
And if your market is smaller and you can't offer things like baked goods or coffee or things, I mean, people do have to can't live off of celery alone or whatever. So you have to go somewhere else. So that could be a good partnership depending on the demographic of your shoppers and what your community needs and what the mission is for your market.
Yeah, that can make some sense. I also tend to rule out anybody that wants to, and we get a lot of requests for this, people that want to promote a food item. They want to give it away, which means that while they're giving away this dandy new kombucha that's made by Coca-Cola Corporation. Your local guy that makes kombucha, his sales are going down because you can get a free can, two doors down. I tend to rule things like that out because in my mind, one of our main missions as market managers is to teach people to make a habit of doing the bulk of their grocery shopping at farmers markets and buying direct from the producers. So a company like that's giving away samples of something that's only going to be sold the other 51 weeks of the year at a big box grocery store, their goal is to pull people to the big box grocery store to do their shopping. And those two things just don't align for me. So we typically turn down that kind of sponsor.
And this is the conversation that I have constantly with the people who like the pirate sponsors that show up on the corner and hand out Laura bars and Kind bars.
Red Bull.
I mean, usually, if I'm busy, I'll say, get out of here. You can't be here. But if I have a minute, I really do. And it's usually just these kids. It's
these
not
poor
like the owners.
street teens.
Yeah.
They're like, I just have a backpack filled with this stuff.
I know. I'm like, well, head down to the waterfront, get out of here. But I explain hey, if you are giving them Laura bars and they think, oh, this is so great. And they don't buy, the bars that this vendor is making. And then you're training them to go to the grocery store. You see how that's defeating the whole purpose of this farmer's market, right? Why would we give food away for free when people are paying to be here to sell their items? They're also a business. And then you're training them to go somewhere else. So a lot of the times, obviously get pushback from some feisty street teams, but a lot of times they go, oh, that makes total sense. I get it. I'm sorry. My boss just told me to come down here because there was a big crowd of people.
Yeah.
I go, I get it. I totally get it. But please go over there away from the market, way, way away. There's also a crowd of people down there and no one else is around selling food and whatever. So explaining that you do have a sponsorship, or I say, here's our sponsorship packet. You can give this to your boss and tell them if they want to pay. And then when they call, we say, actually, we don't do food items. But, but if it's something else, if they're giving away something else, that would be a good sponsorship opportunity. They just don't know that there's a process to host a booth because sometimes people don't know that there's even a market manager at the booth, at the market, of course.
Yeah.
Farmers markets don't just happen.
Then it's a good time to say, oh, hey, I see that you want to reach our customer base. This is how you do that. You pay for a sponsorship. So it's a good lead in.
That's a really good segue into kind of the next topic that we want to discuss is how to get those sponsors signed up. There's one thing to kind of put something on your website and say, hey, we're looking for sponsors, but then actually locking those sponsors in and getting them to participate and then getting them to participate again, maybe year after year. So I think we discussed this in some past episodes and we've talked about this at the conference a lot, but kind of a paradigm shift in terms of how we're looking for sponsors as farmers markets and kind of moving away from this quote unquote charitable giving or kind of the feel good, just giving us money because we do cool stuff.
Yeah, so I think you really have to approach it as a marketing partnership. So you're probably talking to the marketing person at these companies, not anybody else, not the charitable giving person. And the real idea is to pitch them on A, your value, and B, what that value can do for them. So it's the old WIFM thing, what's in it for me? They want to know how it's going to help them. So you want to explain who your customer is. And if you've got a count of how many customers are at your average market, that's important. Another thing that can make your value increase considerably, and this happened as one of those, I hate to say silver linings, we're all so over that word, but something that happened during COVID is we couldn't do activations at the market. So typically our sponsors pay a set amount and they get to set up their tent at the market and reach all of our customers face to face. What some folks had been really good at even before COVID and what we had to get good at, and a lot of market managers had to because you couldn't host sponsors at that point. You could only host really essential food items, mostly farms, is offering them things that add value to their sponsor, to their marketing partnership. So there's a lot of a la carte things you can do, or you can present them as packages. You can mention those sponsors in your newsletters. You are sending out newsletters, right?
Right.
You can put them on your Facebook header, develop little ads for Instagram posts, get it out there on social media and say, this is our sponsor of the day. These folks support local businesses, local farmers, local communities. You should support them. You can do an annual poster that includes logos from each of your sponsors or a banner or merchandise. Maybe your tote bag has, at a certain level of sponsorship, it has that sponsor's logo on one side of the tote bag. Who had a really incredibly creative idea to add value to their sponsorship?
Oh, and his episode just aired, but Daniel Hare at the Nolensville Farmers Market in Tennessee. He wears a T-shirt, like a company T-shirt for his sponsor. He is the market manager and he wears it at the market. And I think that is so brilliant.
It's so smart. It's like a rolling billboard. I mean, he's up and down that market all day.
And people, obviously your regular shoppers are going to recognize you as the market manager. So they're going to look at your shirt. You're walking around. You're going to get eyes on you. So it's not just one booth that's stationary at the market. You're really in front of all the eyes of everyone that's coming to the market because as the market manager, you're walking around. So that is just so smart. I love that.
So clever. And it's so fun that I think a lot of people will take pictures of it and they'll post it on Instagram. And then there you go. Another company may look at that and say, hey, that's a funny idea. How'd you do that? How do we hook up with your market?
Yeah, for sure. And I like these ideas where like the sponsor doesn't have to come out to the market because some of them don't want to. And some of them that do come out, like, bless their hearts, that they just don't know how to behave at a farmer's market.
Yeah.
And, like they're coming late and they're like, having kind of different behaviors at a market that you wouldn't let your vendors do. And like they're breaking down early. They're like
bringing their dog.
They are like, it's hot. It's just, just like
they just don't know that
they don't know.
It's like a long day.
It's a long day. Like they don't get it. And I think as market people, we forget that because it's like, yeah, of course I'm standing out here for 10 hours. Like who cares? But they might not be accustomed to that. And so if there are other things you can offer them to save yourself the trouble as the market manager to have to like kind of deal with that on top of your market management for the day, wearing the shirt, or maybe you have like a kids booth where kids are like coloring or doing crafts. They can hang their banner in that booth.
Or they can sponsor the music.
They can sponsor the music. Or they can put their banner on a bike barricade that's like really in a prominent location. I mean, like, there's a lot of things you can offer that are not a booth space at your market where the sponsor has to staff it. So thinking of that, I mean, if sometimes they're great and sometimes it's great to have sponsors out there like the soccer team guys, like those guys do a great job. But if they're kind of like not really into that or you don't think they're going to be a great fit in person, offer all these other items that came up that we really kind of got stronger with during COVID and you can still get those sponsorship bucks.
Yeah. And what's nice about these kind of more a la carte options, like I love the T-shirt because the expense to the business and that is so minimal, right? All they would have to do is like provide a T-shirt and then they kind of just sit back and reap the benefits of that exposure or, a Facebook header or an Instagram post. All of those things don't require like to print a banner or to pop up a tent and pay somebody labor to stand there all day. Yeah. So I think it really opens the door for market managers to pull in a lot more smaller sponsors that are going to just be easier to sell. And probably it's going to encourage you to find like smaller local businesses that are going to be more easily accepted by your shoppers anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think that when we do have kind of more large corporate sponsors, some people are kind of like,
we definitely get pushed back.
Yeah. But if it's like a local cleaning service or,
the yoga studio.
Yeah, that's a little bit
sitters.
Yeah. That's a little bit more, it reads less corporate. And I think that the shoppers respond better to it. So it's kind of a win-win all the way around.
For sure. Yeah.
So get it out there. Have a deck prepared. So we call it a deck, but it's basically a PDF. It's got information on it on what your various sponsorship levels are, what they cost, what kind of benefits sponsors can expect to get from it. Make it really easy for them to get the information they need to make those decisions, and then get it out to those folks right now. You know how you're setting your budget for next year? They're setting their budgets for next year right now. And if you wait until 2023 to reach out for 2023 sponsorships, you may find that all of the money in that boat, in that company, has been committed to somebody else. So you want to start it right now before they're distracted by holidays, before they finalize their budget.
For sure. And just get them out there. You know what I just remembered real quick is that I saw something on Instagram. A market had like made a list of target sponsors that they wanted to, get at their market. And they either dropped off or sent out little letters with like $5 market gift card in it and said like, dear small business or dear business that I want to invite as a sponsor, we'd like you to come out to our market and you can enjoy the market and you can see the crowd of people. You can see the awesome vendors that we have and the awesome customers that we have. You can see our beautiful location. We'd like you to come out here and experience the market. And then like maybe you can sponsor the market and here's our sponsorship package included too. And I just thought that was so smart because some people don't understand like a farmer's market. Like why would I want to sponsor a farmer's market? But if you have a great farmer's market that's very dynamic and busy, like invite people to come out and a little $5 gift card. That's a great way to get them to come out. And that ROI on that could be great because they'll turn around and buy sponsorship from you.
So smart.
That's genius. And then also in our episode, when we did talk to Danielle and Cassie Hare, just emphasizing this because I think it just demonstrated how awesome it is. They collect a lot of data about how many people visit their market each week and how much money is spent at the vendor sales. So they know how many dollars are circulating through the market. And they really use that to reach their sponsors and just saying, hey, people are spending money here. These are how many people in our community that you want to reach. They're here each week. And just being really forward with, you don't have to kind of do this like, I don't know, beat around the bush thing. Just telling sponsors that they're going to reach those people if they're at your market.
Understand your own value and don't be afraid to communicate that. You do a lot of work to produce a great market, a high quality market. You have the right to be proud of that and to expect somebody to pay to share in the advantages that come from being associated with that market. Don't be shy about it.
Don't be shy. Definitely.
Yeah.
Invite them in. And maybe have your sponsor talk to your staff. They can send them an email or do a quick little meet and greet with your staff and really explain what their business is about so that your staff can speak more confidently about their business as well. Like think of that just coming from your business side, promoting whatever your sponsor is. So
yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. So many great ways to make it worth it.
Yeah. So when you're reaching out to the sponsors before the end of the year, also, if you have a seasonal market, make sure you get them out to your market before it wraps up for the season, because if they can see it when it's happening, then you can, kind of start that conversation and be like, hey, well, why don't you come in next year?
Yeah. And you can even schedule a tour for them too, if you don't want to wait for them to come over. I mean, if you have a seasonal market, it's like, you don't want to say, hey, just come by anytime. You can say, hey, this Saturday at 10, meet at the info booth. I'll walk you around and show you around the market, 20 minutes. You can spend your $5. I feel like that's a great way to introduce sponsors to your market.
That's a really smart way. And if you have a sponsor that loves you, that comes back year after year, have them join that tour and tell people how valuable it's been.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sponsorship testimonials are fantastic. Yes. We have a lot of sponsors that are repeat. So obviously it's working. Right. So get those testimonials from them so they can tell other sponsors, like, why is this valuable to them?
Yeah. And that's something that you can also put in your little sponsorship deck or in your sponsorship outreach. Make sure you kind of include some logos of past sponsors you've had in the, or also when I'm at the market, we do have a sponsor that day. I make sure to get a good photo of their booth, see like a photo where they're interacting with people, and any of those visuals that you have to show future sponsors to come out and just show them, how much engagement they're going to get when they're at your market.
For sure.
All amazing ideas. Now is the time. You've got the weapons. Go get them, team. Bring those sponsorships in and let us know how it works for you and what clever ideas you have for attracting marketing partners to your market.
Thanks for listening today. And big thanks to all of you who attend Intense, the National Farmers Market Conference, for coming together and using our hive mind to take farmers markets everywhere to a whole new level. Join us in San Diego, California on March 1st through 4th, 2026 to explore the future of farmers markets. Click register now on the homepage at farmersmarketpros.com and we'll see you there.
Thanks for listening to Tent Talk today. Please leave us a review on your podcast app or wherever you listen to Tent Talk. Let us and others know how you're enjoying the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode of Tent Talk. Connect with fellow farmers market folks in our private Facebook group, the Farmers Market Pros Community, and follow us on Instagram at Farmers Market Pros. Find online education and other resources at farmersmarketpros.com. Tent Talk is brought to you by Farmers Market Pros, where passion meets profit. Tent Talk is hosted by Kat Fields White and Bridget Myers and produced by Leandra Hayes, with original music by David Mead. Tune in next week for another great episode.